5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports. And today I'm going to interview and just basically chat with my friend Shawn. I'm your host, George Vargas, and this is Shawn VanGassen.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
And Shawn is training for Race Across America. So let's get that out right from the very beginning. You're wearing a shirt. I'm not going to ask you to pronounce the disease, but tell me about your foundation and what is your affiliation to this disease?
So the Lamb Foundation is a foundation that raises awareness for the disease, and a friend of mine has this disease. It's very rare,
Okay.
and so trying to raise awareness for that. And a few years ago, or maybe 5, 6 years ago now, I had some stuff in my lungs, and she was very helpful with helping me get past that. And I thought I need to get some awareness or do something good for the race.
Yep.
The race has a bit of a profile to it, and so even something like this
Yeah.
gets it out there. And so just for research and funding and all that kind of stuff, they're very, very small.
Yeah.
And so any sort of awareness to it
And
is.
what does the disease, what are the symptoms, or what is the, like,
Yep.
how does it affect
Yep.
you?
So it's a lung disease,
Okay.
and it's primarily like a tissue degeneration, and from there you end up needing a lung transplant. Is the end result. There's no cure for it yet.
There's no cure.
There's no cure. Yeah.
Wow.
It's very rare.
How is your friend doing?
So I think she's doing pretty well right now. I don't think she has. It's not as severe right now for her, but it's always a yo-yo. It's always a process, and so
Has she had to do the lung transplant stuff
she hasn't
yet?
had a lung transplant yet. So
Not yet.
Not yet. No, but I mean, health is it's up and down for everybody that has
she an
Lyme disease.
athlete?
Yep, she's an athlete. Yep,
So that's tough.
she's she's a local bike racer.
Oh,
So
geez.
yeah, so
Wow.
so a lot of this is for her
Okay.
and all the
What's her
people.
name?
Patricia Ortiz.
Patricia
Yeah.
Ortiz.
So
Yeah.
Patricia,
So we've got you on. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
we got you.
We got you. We got you in our
Yeah.
thoughts. And so no cure. What happens after the lung transplant? Is that
I is
I mean,
after
it
after
doesn't
that.
spread anywhere else?
No. After that, I'm not exactly sure
Okay.
on the the rates.
Prognosis,
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's move on to something a little bit more cheery. So how's your training going?
Training's going okay. I started racing in 1987.
Yeah.
From 1987 up until the last 6, 8 months, I've never trained like this in my entire life. And I was a Cat 1 racer.
Yep.
Not that I was like elite world class,
Yeah.
but I used bike racing to train.
Yeah.
And now I'm riding a lot more
Yeah.
than I ever thought I would ever ride.
So give the viewing public some perspective of what that means. When you say I was a Cat 1 racer, did you get by with like 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week? In another video, we did a bike profile on his time Alpe d'Huez. So there'll be a link in the description. So we're doing 50 and 60-hour weeks. So give us some perspective of what you did before and what a escalation of training this is.
In the past, I could ride during the week, go to work, ride maybe 20 hours a week. I would say that those were big weeks.
Those were big weeks.
Yeah, and doing big races like back in the day, like Everest Challenge or Death Valley Stage Race or all these other bigger races.
You do like Valley of the Sun.
Exactly.
Those 4 or 5 day races.
Yeah, exactly. In Valley of the Sun, probably 2017, something like that, was like the last year I think I might have done it. And I won that race, the criterium, 3 years in a row.
Nice.
And got on the podium, and that was doing really well as a masters racer.
Yeah.
And so
and that's that 20-hour week.
Yeah, 20 hours always, and I really never kept track.
And probably about 8 to 9 of those was that race.
Yeah, but things like that, you never had to keep track. You just went to a race.
Right, right.
The local team back in the day, Masters-wise, I raced for, like Surf City.
Yep.
One year I did 58 races. I couldn't tell you how much training I did. I
Yeah.
just rode my bike and went
Yeah.
to races.
Yeah.
So now with a 50-hour week,
Oh yeah. No,
jumping
you.
from 25 to 50 during the week, during a regular work week, I do intervals and training very specifically
Yeah.
on my trainer.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, it's big rides.
Yeah.
And those do go together. And that's on average right now, I'm doing 25, 30-hour weeks
Right.
with trainer and 2 long rides
Yeah.
about.
And let's give a shout out to your coach. So your coach is
Marco Ballo. Yep.
Marco Ballo. Yeah.
Yep.
Now I know he's Slovenian. Where's he from? He's
Slovenia.
Slovenia. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do they have in the water over there?
I'm not sure, but yeah, they all
I
do
mean,
really well right now.
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had some amazing athletes. Now, I've known Marco a long time as well. The Furnace Creek 508, which is a race that I've done for many years, his totem is Tweety Bird. So, yeah, I've known Marco for a long time. I actually had invited him to one of my week-long climbing camps, but it just didn't work out, just timing-wise. But yeah, so Marco comes with his own long list of credentials.
Yeah, and
He's-
that's
He's
why
insane.
he is insane, and I think that's why uh, I couldn't really see anyone else on a local sort of. This is not normal coaching,
No, it isn't.
and so the plan has to be how successful do you want to be,
Yeah.
and you have to go with
You
finding
emulate.
somebody who is
Yeah.
straight to the path of the best that you can get. Yep.
So I used to train another young lady, Sarah Cooper, who had come over from triathlon. Trained her for about a year, and that was fine for double centuries and stuff like that in the 500 milers. But once she wanted to do RAM, she went to Marco Ballo as well, and she finished. I think she won. I know she won the women's, but I think she also won overall. But I can't remember. So yeah, you've got a very good coach,
Yeah.
and if I ever if I ever wanted to do something as silly as race across America, that's who I would choose as well. So let's talk about the training rides. We started talking about this outside. What length are these rides these days? When you say, okay, I do some interval work and some trainer work at home, give me some perspective of how long those are, and then what are your outside rides like?
Yeah, so basically during the week, Monday is going to start off as an easier sort of day from the Sunday before.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday through Thursday is going to be a lot of hard intervals at high watts for shorter periods of time.
Yeah.
Now, the duration that I've started at was a lot lower than where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I'm even
Everything
surprising,
should be incremental.
and
Yeah.
it's done that in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And then on Fridays, another casual day, it's an hour on the trainer. And then Saturday, Sunday, usually flip-flops. Right now I'm just coming off of a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
So this is like my second week. So yesterday was 8.5 hours I did, and today was 2.5 hours.
Right.
So they each get bigger. I haven't crossed 10 hours yet.
Yeah.
But I will next week.
And so next week you mentioned it's going to be a 60-hour week.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
probably like 15 outside, at least 12 to 13 outside.
It's going to be, yeah, everything will be outside.
Okay.
And
all of it.
all of it will be all outside. I don't do any of my long stuff. I don't do on the trainer.
Yeah.
I can't. It's too easy to give up. And
It is. You could just step off.
Yeah, and I do that because I'm adjusting aero bars and doing all kinds
Yeah.
of things right now. So it's
Yeah.
very easy to step off. But next week I'm doing. My girlfriend Kim is going to follow me in the van, and so I have a few days where I can practice the course.
Yeah.
So I'll ride from Oceanside to Borrego.
Okay.
I'll ride from Borrego to Blythe.
Yeah.
That'll be probably a tough stretch
Yeah.
during the day.
And the pavement is horrible.
It is pretty bad.
Ugh.
That is one reason why I go to Borrego.
Yeah.
Uh,
To just get used
to
to that
get used
cadence.
to it. Once you're sort of free of that cage on some normal country roads, it's very easy to ride your bike a long time.
Yeah.
And so I'll get to Blythe. We'll spend the night there. I'll turn around and do the exact same thing backwards.
And for people that are not local, give us some perspective of how far that
Each
is.
each one of those is going to be 10 hours of riding. I think Oceanside to Borrego's not much more than 100 miles
Yeah.
exactly. And then I think Borrego to Blythe is around 150 miles.
Okay.
It's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So when I get to Borrego, I'm supposed to go do laps on the time trial course
Yeah.
out there to finish my
Yeah.
10 hours or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So some big days coming up. It's not hot yet. How do you do in the heat?
I have done a lot better this year
Okay.
because of all the trainer work.
Yeah.
So I've adapted a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like the day I saw you in Borrego, those weren't hot days.
No.
The last big ride I had in Borrego where I had to ride 10 hours, I ended up climbing um, almost like around 9,000 feet or something in 150 miles out in the desert because
Yeah.
it's supposedly flat out there.
Yeah. No. It's
No, not flat. And so that day was in the mid 90s.
like Death Valley. Everyone thinks
Yes,
Death Valley's flat.
Death Valley.
Heck no.
Yeah, Death Valley is flat in the bottom of Death Valley.
But it still has roller
Yep.
after roller after
Yeah,
roller.
there are
Yeah.
some flat spots, but
Yeah.
if you say just go 25 miles that way, you're on the top of Mount Whitney.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Which is
exactly.
a 14,000 foot mountain.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking about the heat is because every year the biggest percentage of DNFs happen literally within the first week. And it's all because people are coming from other parts of the country or the world and they're not used to 100-degree heat day after day for the first 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
You got to get out of California. You got to get out of Arizona, and Utah sometimes can be really hot as well. What is your plan to acclimatize to that heat? Because we live in San Diego, which is 70, 80-degree temperature, and that's hot.
Yeah. Again, that's why I go to Borrego.
Yeah.
So, and that's why Marco wanted me to do this portion of the ride and stay out there because it would be a bit warmer.
Okay.
And riding in Borrego in the heat, it helps quite a bit versus, like you said, the San Diego. Like in Borrego today, I'm sure it wasn't rainy and
Yeah.
50 degrees.
Yeah.
And so that sort of training helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I also did race across the West.
I was going to talk about that. but
Yeah, and
I'm glad you
I learned a huge lesson in
Yeah.
Race Across the West. So my training was nothing like what I'm doing now, but I felt I was prepared to handle the load
Yeah.
of the race. And it was, for me, 100 degrees is very hot. Some people can handle it
Yeah.
easily. And when you spend 20 hours on your time trial bike with a TT helmet, I went through the desert too fast at night. I overheated. We stopped for a few hours.
Yeah.
I got back on my bike and I made it into Congress, Arizona, and it was still 100 degrees.
I remember Congress.
Yeah, and so the stopping in Congress just zapped me. And I had
What
nothing.
time of day were you in Congress?
I got to Congress late in the afternoon, probably 3-4 hours before sunset.
Yeah, so still really hot.
So waited for the sun to set and rested and tried to get up. I don't know the name of that hill. You might know it.
Yeah. I
So
remember.
there's a very
Yeah.
steep hill. It's like maybe it felt like Palomar Mountain trying
Yeah.
to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I had zero energy. I was at zero. And I would ride 100 feet and stop.
Oh.
And it was just like that most of the way up that climb. And it's because I didn't recover from the heat properly. But not only not recover from the heat, I took myself to a bad place in the heat and thought I was okay. So all of that needs to be avoided. Ride with extra caution.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to use a core sensor to monitor my temperature just to make sure I'm not too hot. And that's what I have to ride slow within myself, and I'll gain that all back by not going too hard.
So funny thing, just yesterday I was talking to a gentleman So I did a ride yesterday that was 10,000 feet in about 80-ish miles, just doing laps around here. So everything was kind of steep. And I sent him a video. I was on a 15% grade, and I was telling him, look, you don't have to blow up just because you're on a 15% grade. And he was like, how do you do that? And I'm like, just slow your roll. So this is the thing. You just got to go a little bit slower in this extreme heat. And then I used to make a lot of time in the evening hours. And then if you can, how are you with sleep deprivation? Are you good at night?
During the nighttime, I'm probably at my best.
Okay, good. Good, good.
How am I with sleep deprivation? I felt like I stopped. I mean, in raw, I stopped too much. I
Okay.
stopped the maximum that I could. I got to the finish line 2 hours before
The cutoff?
the cutoff. That was perfect, sleeping wise. We stopped sort of regularly, and that
Yeah.
helped. In RAM,
Did you stop on a schedule, or did you stop
no,
based on ad hoc situations?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And so for raw, I only had 2 crew members, so very
You're
minimal,
wearing them out.
very minimal.
You're wearing
So
them
so
out.
we started Oceanside. We made it to Blythe.
Yeah.
We stopped there, and then we stopped the other side of Congress in like a bit of a plain, and just slept in the van or in the truck. And that was not good for them. It was okay for me because they made me comfortable, but and then we stopped the other side of uh, Navajo Indian Reservation. Don't remember the name of the town. We stopped there, and then that was the last time we stopped. So
Oh, let's give some, for folks that don't know what RAW is, it's Race Across the West. It's 900.
I think 930, 960. The year I did it, there was fires, so we got cut short
So
a
you got,
bit. So I think ours was 870.
okay.
Yeah.
So 800 something, let's call it 900 just to round up. 900, so about a third of the way across the country, but it's got most of the climbing in it. So when you talk to people about doing raw, it may sting a little bit when someone says, "Oh, you only went to Durango. Where's the finish?"
In Durango, yeah.
But you've done like 70% of the climbing.
I think it's quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all the big long climbs.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the route book, and I did some reading, and they say the harder, steeper stuff is in the east, but
Yes.
all
But
the
short.
giant stuff is here.
Yeah.
And I think in that 900 miles, you climb 47,000 feet or
Yeah. Yeah.
something. It's a
Yeah.
lot of climbing.
It's a lot of climbing and a lot of heat. So you're doing a very hard portion of the race, and it gives you a very good idea of how you're going to perform on the 3,000 miler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I get over Wolf Creek Pass and I
Yeah.
can peek over,
Yeah.
I think I can
Oh, they
see.
still have that on the route.
They still have Wolf Creek Pass, yeah, and I would like to say I can see the finish line from there.
Yeah.
I know right now with the training and what Marco's given me,
Yeah.
I could just grab my bike out there and probably make it to Durango.
Yeah.
So hopefully I have the confidence to get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I can.
So it's raining outside, and it reminds me of when I did Race Across America in 2007. Going through the Midwest was a swamp. It was just raining all through Missouri and all these other places. How do you do in cold weather? We talked about heat. Now let's talk about cold.
Uh,
You're Canadian.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
gone. That's long gone.
Yeah, it's long
Yeah,
gone.
I'm cold in my t-shirt. So in the 24-hour World Time Trial Championships in Borrego,
Yeah.
it's quite a big temperature swing.
Yes.
It can be 80, 90, 100 during the day, and it can be in the mid 30s at night out there.
And windy.
And windy.
And windy.
And so being cold has stopped me a couple times in my
Okay.
tracks.
Okay.
I have much better maturity at what I need to wear and how
Yeah.
slow it is okay to go.
Yeah.
Going slow is much faster than not going at all.
That's right.
And so that is just there's probably some people out there who know me personally that will call me out on that.
Yeah.
But that is the case. That truly for this is an exception.
Yeah.
And I do know that. So to say it out loud is honesty.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to keep saying that to yourself. And the story I was I didn't finish telling was about this 15% grade that I was going easy. And I was like, you just got to slow your roll. And he was of the mindset of attacking rollers and attacking climbs. And GCN is guilty for this, and some of these other channels. And it's like, and you hear that, you got to crush that climb. Look, my mantra for people: go hard when it's easy, go easy when it's hard. And that could be whether it's the climb, whether it's 100 degrees, go easy. When it cools off, drop the hammer. All these kinds of things that I say to myself when I'm doing these endurance events. Go easy when it's hard, go hard when it's easy. A lot of people just coast downhill. Pedal, pedal. I mean, you can gain an extra 3-4 miles per hour just by pedaling. Um, let's talk about the crew. What kind of crew do you have? Because you said you only had 2 for Race Across the West. What kind of crew do you have this time?
Looks like I have about 7 people
Nice.
with some experience, and
Yeah, you were just talking
yeah,
about.
Steve,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to recruit him. So
Do you know he crewed for me
yes, I
at the
do.
508?
Yep,
Okay,
and
yeah.
he's done Race Across America,
Okay,
and he has a friend of his that also has experience at crewing,
okay. So
and
that's
everyone
2.
and everyone on my team. So I have my girlfriend Kim,
Yep.
my good friend Matt, who knows me very well. We
The
also
one you're riding with, right?
exactly,
Okay.
yeah, yep. So him and I have ridden a lot together. We worked a lot together. We worked together for 13 years while I was at a Chevy dealer.
Okay.
So we know each other really well. And then I also have another friend, John, who has a lot of experience at crewing and somewhat got me into double century racing,
Mm-hmm.
or at least I didn't know what the California Triple Crown was,
Yeah.
and he got me into it. And then I could never get a chance to
Yeah.
race. So
Race.
yeah, we always missed each
Race.
other. So I have another
Good thing.
I have another friend, Amy, who's going to help out.
Okay.
Our massage therapist, Luis,
Okay.
is very experienced with off-road racing and like long, like kind of arduous conditions,
Yep.
and being a therapist in those conditions.
Okay.
So that's about 7 people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully we didn't miss anyone.
yeah, I might have. So I don't think so.
We'll throw that in
I,
at the bottom.
yeah, I think we're good. So everybody sort of has a job.
And what about vehicles? How are you going to do the vehicles this
So we have
time?
a Sprinter van.
Okay.
That will be the primary vehicle that stays with me so that I can stop, sleep, have all my nutrition,
Yeah.
everything with me.
Yeah.
And then we have a minivan that will sort of, don't have the logistics of this yet, but we're working on it, of moving people back and forth to the Sprinter van
Yeah.
as need be. So
So generally, this is, I mean, the crew, we always talk about the crew as they don't win you the race, but they could lose it for you or lose a lot of time. So you need a cohesive crew. Oh, crew chief. Who's your crew chief?
I'm probably going to have 2 because I somewhat have 2 teams.
Okay.
So Steve, who he doesn't know it yet, will be a crew,
Steve.
a crew chief, and my good friend John.
Okay.
So the 2 of them together can
Yeah.
manage a group of people
Yeah.
and keep their ideas and stuff open and flowing. And
Well, it's a good idea to have a the primary and the backup, or primary and secondary, because they got to sleep.
yeah,
And the toughest thing about crew, now relay is even harder for them, but for crew, they're trying to catch some sleep, but they're always worried about providing for you. And so they feel, especially the first 36 to 48 hours, you got to get those people to sack out. You have to, because they're all jazzed up. Everyone's fired up. You got to get them to get some sack time. So yeah, the sleep rotations, that's interesting, to manage that. Not your concern, of course. That's what the crew chief is for. But yeah, you got to send some people up the road and get them a hotel
yeah,
every now and then.
and that's what we're gonna try
A
and accomplish.
shower,
Yeah,
a good sit-down meal.
yeah, and I'm not sure if it's gonna work out logistically. It's good if they don't have to drive back to me,
Yeah.
because I'll be moving,
Yes.
and so that will slow me down as far as like waiting for that transition. But if we can get things somewhat organized and I have enough time to ride to them,
Yeah.
duration wise,
Yeah.
that part's okay because I can stop and I can also have like my rest as they're transitioning,
Yeah.
and I won't have to rest as much.
Yeah.
I will need to rest that much, but I won't be able to.
Yeah. No.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You'll need it. Do you have an idea of what your sleep breaks are going to look like?
I
Like a planned, I must, I must work in 3 hours, 4 hours.
I
What do you got?
I don't have a must as that just yet because I'm a little bit of an unknown to myself right now because of what Marco has given me
Yeah.
fitness wise.
Yeah.
And so I think while I'm still fast,
Yeah.
whatever that is,
Yeah.
I'm sort of banking a little extra rest
Mm-hmm.
while I'm still fresh.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping after the first 24 hours, I would hope I would find a place to
Mm-hmm.
rest
Mm-hmm.
time wise. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a am I going to stop for 4 hours a day and sleep? I don't have that
Yeah.
boundary yet.
Yeah.
So the crew can.
Yeah.
That I'll have to stop at some point if I don't catch up to them.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I'm looking to do is 4 hours makes me ride 20 hours a day, and 300 miles a day gets me there in 10
10
days.
days. Yeah.
I won't be able to do 300 miles a day once I'm sort of halfway point and on, so I need to go maybe a bit more than that sooner.
Earlier.
Yeah, so I can average that out. So sleep wise, I guess the answer is no. I don't know
You don't know.
exactly
Yeah.
how much I'm going to sleep. I would like to sleep as much as possible,
Yeah.
but that means maybe I have to ride at 20 miles an hour, and that's not that's
That's
not
not always
possible.
possible.
That's not possible at all.
Yeah.
So
So you mentioned the 10 days. What is what is the goal, and what is is it 12 days now?
12 days is a time limit
12
for
days.
like a male might. I think
Male.
the women might get an extra day or something,
Or 12
and
hours
depending
or
on the
something.
day or something like. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure.
So so you're somewhere between 10 and 12 days.
Yep.
What do you have as a personal goal?
To get there.
Yeah.
So
Because the primary objective of an ultra is to finish.
right. So 12 days is fine.
Yeah.
10 days that's great.
Yeah.
But I think what happens with my training, my mindset, if I can just keep that along the 10 days, I have 2 extra days to play with.
Right.
And so I don't want to use them if I have to. 10 days would be great. That's a good goal.
Yeah.
But the goal with this big investment in wanting to do something substantial, plus for the Lamb Foundation, I don't believe, I know there's riders with the easy breathers and riders that they have. They've done some big things. I don't know if anyone's done Race Across America, but if I've taken this challenge on,
Yeah.
then I would like to finish it. And
Yeah.
so 12 days is, if I'm there a minute ahead of the cutoff, I'm
You're
still
happy.
I'm
You're
very
stoked.
happy.
Yeah.
I'm still stoked.
So equipment choices, previous video, but I want to cover it here. 2 road bikes and a TT bike. Is that correct?
Essentially, yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a primary, which you want to do the lion's share of your riding on, the road bike
I'm
or
it's
TT?
gonna be very 50-50 with me.
Okay.
In Race Across the West, I did not use my time trial bike enough. To be honest, I probably could have rode the entire thing on my time trial bike.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been ideal climbing, but I should have rode it a lot more. And I'm gonna keep my road bike for anything climbing.
Yeah.
And so those are big sections. My road bike will still have aero bars on it,
Yeah.
and I'll be set up comfortably on it.
Yeah.
But my time trial bike, I'd like to stay relaxed and just cruising with my leg weight instead of having to actually push on the pedals.
Yeah.
So I need to do that everywhere possible. So
Have you been doing long training rides on your TT bike? I mean, I saw you down in Borrego Springs,
yeah,
but have you been doing 8-10 hours on that bike yet?
not well. I've done that a couple times after you saw me. So recently, no, because I'm trying to get climbing in.
Okay.
Break this bike in to me and the bike, so we're both happy.
Yeah.
And doing more climbing relative to the front end of the race,
Yes.
and I will warm in. My time trial bike on me is a comfortable
You're
pair of
good.
shoes.
Yeah.
So once I get on my time trial bike in Borrego, I'll be good. Next week, I'll ride my time trial bike for 450 miles
Yeah.
in 2 days, 3 days. So
Yeah.
that'll be a lot of time trial bike.
Yeah.
So I'll get reacquainted with it again.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have a strength? Do you, or do you prefer one thing over the other? Climbing, time trialing, flat terrain, motoring.
if I had my choice, and regardless of the size I am now versus the past, I would rather climb.
Yeah.
The reason being is if you're good at milking the terrain, that is much easier to actually, it is easier to take the watts away than it is on the time trial bike on a flat road.
Yeah.
And so you're always constantly pedaling on the time trial bike, which is good training on online sources.
Yeah.
You're constantly pedaling when you're
Yeah.
on the indoor trainer.
Zwift or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And so on the road bike, I'm more comfortable with descending with open roads at monitoring my how weak I get over time.
Mm.
It isn't so much a strength, it's how long do you taper to tired. And I manage that better on my road bike,
Yeah.
yeah, than my time trial bike.
Yeah.
My time trial bike is just too fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it inspires you to
Exactly.
go
That's
fast.
right. That's what it does.
Yeah, it inspires you
Yeah.
to go fast. Um, uh, let's talk briefly on your bike racing. When you did the cry the bike racing,
hmm
was there a thing you liked more, like road racing or the crits, or obviously you could win at crits, but was there something you preferred? Like,
I was a crit banger.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, I loved road racing. I just gravitated towards criteriums. I like the technical challenge of it.
Yeah,
And so that's always been fun. So when I moved here from Canada, this criterium scene here is
it's
big.
it's it's all there is,
It's
really.
yeah, I mean it's a lot less now than it was 10,
Yeah,
15 years
yeah.
ago.
COVID killed a lot of it too.
Yeah, and so I gravitated towards that. I raced for SoCal Cycling,
Yeah.
and that was primarily criteriums for me. That we had some good road races that we did, and then Masters racing, that was primarily criteriums
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and so for me that was fine. It was fun, but nearing the end of that, had a pretty good crash, and that sort of woke
Oh,
me up to it's hard to go to work the
your
next day.
mortality.
Yeah, it does. It's funny how that catches up.
How old are you now?
I'll be 51 next week,
That's right.
or
That's right.
well, this week coming
Yes.
actually. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Today is May the 4th. Be with you, by
Yes.
the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in 4 days
Yeah.
I'll be 51.
51.
Yeah.
So
So
when was this when you had this epiphany that, I am mortal?
yeah, I was probably 36,
Well, it's a
something
good
like.
time to learn.
Yeah. So that was a decent crash, and got past that, and I thought I'm gonna get into double century racing and
Mm.
just for fun because I liked road racing. I loved road racing. I was good at criterium racing,
Hmm.
and so I did the first Ram Challenge Series race. It was actually the last one they had here. That it
Which one
was
was that?
it was a race from started Carlsbad,
Okay.
and then it did a whole loop, and you did a big one. You did 400 miles if you did around the Salton Sea, or you did like 225 miles
Okay. I
if
remember it now.
you just did. It was a very hilly, mountainous ride.
Like San Diego. I
Yeah,
mean, that's all it is.
and so I was
Hills and
perfect for
mountains.
100 miles.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm a bike racer, and the next 100 miles were, I guess that's where I was going to be a tourist.
Yeah.
And so I learned about endurance racing.
Yeah.
So, and that challenge has driven me to get to where I'm at now.
And that's where I was going to go with this is, for someone who does road racing and crit banging, let's say a pro crit is what, 90 minutes?
Something like that.
Yeah. To go from 90 minutes to a goal of a 3,000-mile race.
It like it correlates mentally.
Yeah.
The challenge
Yeah.
of it, the physicality of it. Could I go do a 90-minute pro criterium right now? I don't think I have that leg
You'd
speed
be pack fire.
anymore. So could I sit in? Maybe. I don't even know if I could sit in. But where I was when I was at my best there, I couldn't do anything like what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit
You were
different.
100 miles and good.
Yeah, I mean, I did
Which a
some.
pro race is typically around 4 to 5 hours, so about 100 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, so things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed a
Yeah,
lot. So when we looked at your time bike, the one thing that rings true through all three of your bikes is that they're rim brake.
exactly.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah,
Everyone else is moving to disc.
okay.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for me. I mean, it's funny because I have that conversation with a lot of people,
Yes.
and uh, I understand it. I buy into it. I know that there's advantages to it, but there's also disadvantages.
Yeah.
And coming from where I was racing wise, time wise, as far as like years ago,
Yeah.
to now, I'm very OCD about noises on my bike, and like you can get dial a disc brake in pretty good
Yeah.
nowadays, but
They squeal.
they
I mean,
do,
everybody
and
knows that.
so a rim brake just doesn't.
Yep.
And the power of say like brakes or other rim brakes is very very close
Yeah.
to this level of braking.
Yeah.
It's harder to brake from the hub than it is out at the rim,
At the rim.
and so you have to compensate for that. Anyway, I just stick with rim brakes because the weight. I'm being a bit of a weight weenie on
Yeah.
some stuff. Two, all my equipment is still rim brake, and I'm just okay with it,
Yeah.
even if I have to work hard at
To
finding
find the
parts.
parts.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a problem on finding even a frame set. So
Yeah.
luckily, it's
A
not my
high end frame set.
that's not my first time. I have a couple,
Yeah.
and it's rim brake as well, and the quality of that frame is very high, and it's you can't find rim brake in that anymore.
Yeah.
So
And it's a sub 14-pound bike, is what I understood. Right?
yeah, I mean it's a little beefed up with the handle. I use gel Chinelli handlebar tape.
Yeah.
It's like
Aluminum
two.
handlebar.
It's I
Yeah.
think some stuff is a little bit heavy on
Yeah.
it, but that handlebar's carbon. But with no
Oh,
computer
sorry.
mount, no
My bad.
cages, no pedals, it's sub 14 pounds
Yeah.
weighing it. As it is right now, it's 14 pounds with all the stuff on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Um, so we've got the rim brake thing. What about some of these other latest advancements? Waxing of your chain and tubeless tires, and I know some of the answers to this, but just so we could share it
Well,
on tape.
I don't run tubeless.
Yep.
One, I probably never will because of the mess.
Yeah.
Just for me,
Yes.
I know there's advantages to it. On a road bike, on clean roads, I'm not sure if it's an advantage or not. And then tube-wise, I use TPU tubes,
Yeah.
and I use a cotton tire. For the race, I will. For normal riding, it's too sensitive of
Well,
a
you
tire.
can always just raise your hand,
Yeah,
and nope, here comes another wheel.
yeah, that's what I need.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then building the bicycle and staying away from cables due to some routing stuff for myself.
Yeah.
I chose to build it. How modern can I build this rim brake bike? And it's as modern as you can build a bike right now.
Yeah.
Rim brake.
So it's 12-speed access.
Yep.
12 speed SRAM, 12-speed access. And then your tire size, we talked about outside. You're running 26 on your road bike.
Yep. 26 on my climbing wheels and 28s on sort of the wheels I'll use with it majority of the time. And that's just due to keeping the continuity between the rim and the tire. I can run 28s on that narrower fulcrum. It's just a little balloony. It doesn't actually ride as good. Plus, I'm going to be climbing. I don't need a big fat tire with comfort in mind for that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Your brake calipers, they're TRP.
Yeah.
Just give me some reasons why TRP, what model they are, what's special about
So
them.
I think they're the 920 EQ, and I have them on my other time bike.
Yeah.
So I wanted to build my bikes they worked well on that bike.
Yeah.
I have white calipers on my other bike.
Yeah.
And so I just kept with the theme on this one.
Yeah.
I do like the EE brakes.
Yeah.
They're a little too finite for me to clean.
Yeah.
Uh,
They are.
and so, but they brake great.
Yeah.
These might not be at that level of leverage,
Yeah.
but I'm okay with that
Yeah.
part.
It's amazing the leverage because they're so freaking light as
Yeah.
well. When earlier you mentioned this, and I didn't want to hit it at that point, but you mentioned that your Sprinter van will have your nutrition in it. I know you don't have it so dialed in yet, but what can you tell us about what kind of nutrition you're going to be using and what you've been doing on your training rides, maybe to simulate, not stimulate,
Yeah.
simulate your race conditions?
So for for race conditions, the one thing that's odd. I can eat anything. Like it must be, and I find this with a lot of ultra cyclists. I don't know. Maybe that's just part of what you gravitate towards that
You
because
have to do that.
because you can put anything
Yeah.
in yourself, like
I
spicy, junk food, whatever it is, and
Yeah.
you can fuel yourself on it. I won't have a minivan or I won't have a Sprinter van full of that. And so I'm going to use some of your product.
Yep.
One reason for that is I can't eat pizza all day long. And so like I joked with you earlier.
As good as it is.
Yeah, I joked with you earlier about it that's something I always do before big rides.
Yeah.
And it's easy to eat a gross amount of carbs that way, but there's a lot of things there you don't want.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things there you don't want the next morning.
Yep.
And having a fuel that covers that but is much lighter on your system that's beneficial.
Yeah.
And so I don't have all the the ratios and
Yeah,
all of that stuff super dialed for myself. I know what I need, and then we could get into each water bottle has maybe 50 grams of carbs or whatever that's going to be.
No,
But
I didn't want to drill down into that detail, but I just wanted to know, like for some folks, they know they want to eat solid foods on a race this long. And
Yeah.
some folks want to maybe 70-30, 70 liquid, 30 solid foods for when they bed down or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah, so I'm probably all over in that gamut. So
Yeah.
I'll probably eat a lot of rice. PB&J is fine. All regular food is fine, and then nutrition in my bottles. And so I also do really well with Ensure
Yeah.
or a meal replacement
Yeah.
like that, because it's a lot of calories and it's a lot of nutrition that you're burning off that's hard to find in all the food. And for me, it's easy on my stomach. And those little bottles are 350 calories
Yeah.
a bottle.
Are they 20 grams of protein? I mean,
Some
they're
can
pretty
be.
high. Yeah.
Some can be. So you can get the
Ensure
higher protein.
Plus.
Yeah, you can get the higher protein one or a regular one. So
Yeah.
I'm probably going to want to stay motivated most of the. So in Race Across the West, it's actually short enough where you can keep it all liquid if you wanted to. I do have something funny. So we were climbing into, I believe, Prescott, if that's how you say it, or Prescott for some people.
Prescott,
So
I think.
and I could smell Burger King, and then I just
Yeah.
gravitated.
Heat-seeking missile.
Yeah, so they my crew went and got me that, and
Yeah.
it's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I don't eat it on a daily basis, but
Yeah.
I think in a race stuff like that's fine. And high sodium stuff, I'm good with even spicy clamato juice.
Yes, we were talking about gas station food.
Yeah.
And when you go out on these long training rides and you don't have that follow vehicle,
Yeah.
let's talk about some of the random choices of going into a convenience store.
So even when we were talking about setting this up, and I was probably crying about being wet yesterday, and I was in Temecula, I was sitting there eating a Lunchable,
Yeah.
or those packs that have the salami and the cheese and the crackers.
All
and
the stuff you would never eat at home.
if you're sitting around, it's probably not good for you. But if you're out sort of stressing your body in a high calorie zone, stuff like that's okay.
Yeah.
The fat content, some of it, is a lot of processed stuff. You don't want a lot of
You
that.
don't want the ultra processed stuff.
But having a Clamato or something that's very high sodium, along with Gatorade or even just water
Yeah.
is a very good supplement for anything that you can
Yeah.
not have with you. So yeah.
So here's a pro tip for you guys. If you either you're down on your electrolytes or didn't bring enough with you or something, and you're halfway through your ride, these clamatos, what are they? 1,000 milligrams
It's
of
the
sodium.
spicy one's 1800.
Whew!
So
Yeah.
and it's easy to drink. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not easy for some people, and the
Yeah.
taste of it might be bad. Even V8 juice
Yeah. I used to
is
get
actually, and
V8s.
that's a very low, mild version. That's like the non-alcoholic version of
Yeah.
Clamato.
Yeah.
Is still great, and it is the people I have introduced
Resurrected.
introduced that to, they are amazed at what it can do.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
It
Alka
is
Seltzer
really
also does
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like a lot of anti-acid things when I'm racing. I tend to think I need the acid to digest the food. Yeah. You don't like the heartburn, but you got to get through that part. I end up eating crackers and something really bland, and then my stomach starts to settle again. I just wish way back when I had Rev Energy, but you know,
Yeah.
at least I have it now. When you are eating solid foods, um, do you find you have to slow down your pace, or you're still good? You can still
I'm
push.
still good, especially at this kind of training pace. I did. It's funny you bring that up because working all day and having to do these intervals and being time crunched, I got home from work. I don't normally eat. I will maybe mix up some Rev or some kind of mix, sit down, relax a little bit, and then start my training on more of an empty stomach.
Yeah.
And I got home and decided to eat
Mm-hmm.
and ride kind of hard, and it didn't work out for me. After about an hour and 15 minutes, I sort of ruined my training
Yeah.
session that day.
Yeah.
But on the road, I you're zone 1, zone 2 if you're climbing or something, so you're not really stressing your gut that much,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's multi hours. Whenever that was, I had stopped 3 hours or so into my ride, barely, and I can stomach a full stomach of food
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
and keep riding. So
Yeah, brevet riders, they'll sit down and have a meal. I pretty much can do about a 600K. That's kind of my limit right now. So 370 something miles on all liquid. Um, so you can get there, but then you also have to figure out, okay, is this the end? Or am I still going past that? Because then after that, maybe, because we're talking about 30 hours of effort, 24 if it's not much climbing, about 30 hours of effort if there's a lot of climbing. So, yeah, everyone is different. So I've got another gentleman, Giovanni, and he did raw last year. He's going to do solo ram this year. Another guy he's vegan, so he's just all about solid foods. He's not going to be, I talked to him about my product, but he wanted to go solid foods. So everyone is different. Let's talk about what you've been finding to be the metrics that you are living by on these training rides. Is it heart rate? Is it power? Is it perceived effort? Is it for this section I'm going to do this, and for this section I'm going to do that? Or how's that work? What have you been using?
so a lot of the training and the metrics given to me
Oh,
for
they're given to you.
yeah, that like for the long ride. So if I have to do yesterday was 8 hours. I went over a little bit. That's not a bad thing. It's sort of extra credit.
Yeah.
On something like that, I need to do the 8 hours. So
So it's time.
I'm not leaving the house and on the gas right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I kind of went for my friend Matt's KOM that he has, and so I was warmed up and went for it. He should be happy to know because I talked to him that that was safe. But I have to get home,
Yeah.
and so an 8 hour ride means sort of monitoring how hard I'm gonna ride.
Yeah.
And so I know that zone 2 is okay for me for that period of time. The ride I did where we actually passed each other on the road
Yeah.
on Cruiser,
Okay.
that was 10 and a half hours with normalized power of 219 for 10 and a half hours.
That's
And that all happens because of the climbing.
yeah.
In between the climbing, just cruising,
Yeah.
going downhill, everything I can do to relax. I'm not in a
Yeah.
hurry.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about pedaling downhill.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my heart rate and manage all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of, I've got a good judge of it now of what I need to do for that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that like riding way above my watts is not, if I climb at, for, I never even used a power meter
Yeah.
before this training.
No kidding.
So I used Zwift.
Yeah.
There's my power meter. I did have one on my bike when I used Zwift without a smart trainer, but so I can correlate that. But so I see that just climbing easy versus Zwift, I use that information to know that with heart rate.
Yeah.
Heart rate for me is probably the most important to know that I'm not overstretching.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just all about monitoring it. I know you do the no ride,
Yeah.
and so you're not going to go do 400 kilometers or 200 miles potentially without a stop. I mean, unless you have a Camelback or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know that you're monitoring that. You can only sip on a water bottle so long and then
Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And so I'm just using that
Yeah.
as like
Yeah.
when we stopped and I talked to you while I was eating, that was just like a bit of a quick break, but I was wet and cold and I needed to just warm up, feel good about it, get something in my stomach and keep going.
And keep
So
going.
yeah, for RAM I won't stop a lot.
Do you have some sense of how many calories you are consuming on these training rides? Let's say a 10-hour ride. I have a concept where when I coach people or mentor them, I'm like, hey, keep track of what you've eaten, come home and do an assessment. Okay, I had a bottle of this, a bottle of that. I had some ding dongs and some whatever, and it all adds up to this much divided by 8 hours. How did I feel?
Right. On some of those like bigger rides, I can use the 10-hour ride. I can even use yesterday's like 8-hour
Yeah,
ride. And for 8 hours, I just had 4 water bottles and that Lunchable,
yeah,
and then some stuff in my pocket. And so like that was 5,800 calories or something like that. And I that's what it says I burnt. I'm not really sure
yeah,
whether or not that's the actual case. But like coming home, my weight was very stable
yeah.
with my last water bottle.
Do you
And
know what you took in?
I probably took in somewhere around 6 is what I'm gonna guess.
That's pretty low.
It's yeah, so like 6,000.
Oh, 6,000.
Yeah,
Sorry, my bad.
yeah, and so like a lot of the stuff I had was pretty high calorie, and I
Yeah.
had some pretty high calories in my water bottle,
Okay.
and I had some stuff in my pocket that was pretty
Yeah.
high calorie as
Okay. All
well.
right. Okay.
So I didn't come home too depleted. So
Yes, because
yeah.
that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Um, has your appetite, like on that 50-hour week, and then now your 60-hour week coming, do you feel a big spike, or do you think you're doing a lot of fat burning, and so you're not like ravenous when you
I'm
during
not
that week?
I'm not ravenous when I come home from a ride anymore. Although I'm looking at seeing what you have. But I'm hungry all the time, and
Yeah.
I'm just gotten a little bit used to that.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying not to. Um,
Overindulge.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I am spreading it out. I am eating a lot more than I used to,
Yeah.
and I'm maintaining. Like I'm watching my weight, and so I've lost around 10 pounds since the whole process started.
Yeah.
But I'm just maintaining stability right now. So I mean, I had some extra to lose. Yeah.
Sure. And you're at 155, so
155,
so
160.
that's like 70.3 kilos.
Yeah.
I always remembered that one.
Yeah.
Um, I think outside we talked about this. What you think you don't know yet, but what do you think is going to be your longest ride? Do you think you're going to do an overnighter? Do you think you're going to do anything like that?
Before the race, I won't do any of that. But my longest rides are going to be, I think I have maybe a 12-hour ride in this session. So,
Okay.
and that's most of the averages of distance are just based on like 25 kilometers an hour, whatever that works out to, 16, just under
Yeah.
16
I
miles an
think
hour.
30 is 18.
Yeah.
So right around
Yeah.
there.
So something like that. I don't have any of that planned because my schedule doesn't look like that's how he's training me right now. It's still, even though they're long rides, a 10-hour ride has turned into like speed work. Like that's just what it is because
Yeah.
right. I mean, it's like yesterday, up until a certain point, I was very close to 18 miles an hour for 6,000 feet of climbing. And for me, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional, so
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. We did talk about raw earlier. What were some of the biggest takeaways? You said earlier you went too hard.
yeah,
You did. Are those things like, are they very present in your mind? I mean, some of
constantly.
these, yeah.
Yeah. So that, like that race, if it's all, you're racing yourself.
You are.
And so I just completely stepped outside my normal range of like what do you call it, like self-preservation, and I have that now, and I know what that looks like. So for raw, I rode my time trial bike way too fast in way too hot a heat with a black helmet and
Yeah.
a speed suit
Yeah.
and wanted all the aero gains, and I went through the desert like a bullet. As a matter of fact, I think I passed the guy who won raw in the desert, but that didn't mean anything when he went cruising past me while I had to stop.
And you're sitting in the shade tree.
Yeah, so that is a huge lesson for me to stay cool. Keep the engine cool as long as I can.
We
And topped up.
we had one of these super soakers. You ever seen those?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Even a weed sprayer would be a
That's
good.
what I was gonna say. You can get one of those where you pressurize. It's a tank, and then it's just a mister,
Yeah,
and it just keeps you moist. I wouldn't even call it wet, right?
yeah.
It just keeps you moist, and you're rolling, but you get whatever that whatever that physics principle is.
Evaporation?
Yeah, well, you get the water just barely, especially if you're wearing a skin suit.
Mm-hmm.
It just sits on there, and then it's just being evaporating, and that, I mean, I am not very good in the heat, and so I'm always looking to hear what their strategies are, because I
Yeah.
want to learn from them.
Because I stayed away from my arm coolers because I felt like it was inconvenient. I stayed
Mm,
away from my cooling vest because I felt like oddly it would make me hot
yeah,
because it's an extra layer.
yeah.
I don't feel that
The
anymore.
cooling vest, would that have
With
ice in
ice,
it?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
not like the one with the freezer where you freeze the vest.
yeah.
I have like a
It's got like
Bellow
a
Toes
bladder or something.
jersey
Okay.
that has pockets for ice packs.
Oh my God.
So it's
Yeah, you should
yeah,
have used it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Things you bring that you don't know about. So yes, a lot will change. So
Yeah, and also some things that I've learned. I know everything I've packed, but my crew doesn't.
yeah,
Your crew has to know everything that's there and
yeah,
what its purpose is. And then eventually you get brain dead and you forget stuff.
yeah,
Or like you said, you get lazy. There are times I'm going and I'm like, I don't want to stop. And yet I'm going like 2 to 3 miles per hour slower than I could if I had this thing, whatever this thing is that's
yeah,
in my crew vehicle.
yeah. I for raw I did do a pretty good job of like sort of the organization of it.
Yep.
But we used a Suburban,
Yeah.
and there's three of us.
Yeah.
95% of the space in there was my stuff,
Yeah.
and it was way too small of a vehicle. This new vehicle will have a bike rack. There won't be bikes packed inside.
Yeah.
Should be organized fairly
Sprinter.
well.
Yeah.
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 So
Um, will you have external speakers, music, and stuff like that going, or what do you think?
we talked about that a little bit. Like, are those things that I might want? I don't really want music coming
Okay.
from the car.
Okay.
It's I'm an audiophile a little bit as well as a cyclist, and
So
so
it's got to be good music.
yeah. So
It's got to sound
I'll
good.
probably use bone conduction headphones, and during the day I don't need anything.
Yeah.
But at nighttime might want some music to stay awake a little bit or stay focused,
Yeah.
and I'll just use those and like load up an MP3 player or something. I don't mind the
Wow,
speak
you're going way back in time.
the whatever
MP3 player.
whatever what is it, MP, whatever,
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
music streamer or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'll use that with my headphones, and a speaker on the van could be okay to like yell at me for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. Left turn, right turn.
I do have radios. I bought those for raw. I never used them. It was just too close a contact. I didn't feel like I needed them. I I still don't know if I need them, but I'll have them in case we want to use them and have that freedom. I just don't like being jumbled up with a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Let's talk about a thing that a friend of mine who wanted to do RAM got some serious sticker shock. So let's talk
Oh
about
boy.
this. Yeah, let's talk
Yeah.
about what is the budget? Where are you at? Are you over budget?
Yeah.
And what sacrifices have you had to do? Like earlier you said you're having to take some vacation time just to get this training in.
Yeah.
We're not even talking race
No.
days. So let's talk a little bit about that and share only what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, that part's fine. So, as far as like work and vacation time and hours, it's probably boiled down to 130 plus hours of vacation time.
Hmm.
So at my work, it's just hours.
What do you do for your day job?
I work as a car mechanic.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I have vacation time. I'm able to use it, spread it out, do that part appropriately. So not too bad, and my work's very great, very flexible with me. Managers are great, and so as far as like that's one expense, like, and it's a big expense. Like you don't realize how precious all that time is, and then it just goes away
Yeah.
as you sign up for taking more time. And then so as far as a budget, the race itself is what, $3,000. It's like $1 a mile to do the race. So that was sticker shock by itself.
Yeah.
And then things sort of like there's things that you need to do and there's things you don't need to do. And so I didn't need to build a bike for this race. So I have continuity between a bunch of seats and seat posts and have these options. I could have avoided that. And then other things cause componentry to be, you go down this road and like I'm fortunate to have a lot of good stuff I can sell. There's going to be a really big yard
There's
sale.
going to be a fire sale.
There's
coming.
going to be a sale after this race. And so that part, I'm fortunate. But I'd say budget wise, if you go to do this race and you think it's possible to do it under $20,000, you have to really crunch numbers. And it just, even if you have all your equipment, you need to have reliable tires, you have to have reliable bikes, all that, your nutrition, all the stuff for just the race is one thing. But all the stuff before the race is an expense. I drive to the desert and train all day. It takes X amount of money to just keep that going. I have to make 10, 15 water bottles before I go and keep all that, or I can make them out there, but bring water with me. One way or the other, everything is an expense.
Yeah.
A coach is an expense.
Yeah.
You're eating more often, that's an expense.
Yeah.
So I would say doing it on a budget is difficult nowadays.
Yeah.
All the hotels for the crew,
Yeah.
flying people to get them home and have them be comfortable.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you, what's your game plan when you get to the other side?
The game plan is my girlfriend and I, Kim, will drive back, hopefully more casually. Well, I don't want to go any slower than I've already gone,
Yeah.
but we'll drive back and have a little bit of vacation time together. And then everybody from at the end of the race, we'll try and fly them home as best as possible, like time frame wise.
Yeah.
So there's all that as an expense,
Yes.
depending on how much plane tickets
And
are.
you got to feed them all the way across the
Right,
country.
right, exactly. And so if you
The
have
gas for all the vehicles.
all of that stuff, is it's
Mhm.
way more dealing with cycling shoes and all these problems that I've had now that I'm riding outside my norm. It's okay to be uncomfortable for 5, 6, 7 hours on a bike if it's really racy, but when you go 10, 12 hours, you start to find out that your wrists are, you know, sore,
Mhm.
or your backside is sore, your feet are sore,
Mhm.
and so all of that becomes an expense, the quest to find comfort.
Yeah.
And so um, some things have just thrown caution to the wind, and I just have to do what I need to do to get the race done, accomplished.
Your numbers are very low from what I've heard a lot of are the solo racers budget. I would say it's very hard to do this thing for under 40.
That's why when you said what am I comfortable talking about,
Yeah.
and I said you have to really crunch the numbers
Yeah.
and you don't spend anything anywhere else
Yeah.
besides the equipment you have,
Yeah.
you're probably, that's a more accurate number.
Yeah.
Can you do it for around what? Not appropriately.
Yeah.
It's if you to keep everybody fresh, comfortable, and yes, it's closer to what it's closer to 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and I think that that number, some folks are fortunate enough to get some of that sponsored in. Um, there's a lot of folks that are willing to give product, but very few are willing to give money,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So this is always the challenge for a solo racer who's not a well-to-do person. You know, you're a car mechanic, you're not the dealer owner. You
Right.
know,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Whereas a dealership owner might be able to get a few other dealerships to help him do this thing, him or her. So yeah, it's a very tough sport to do, not just physically, not just mentally, but financially.
Yeah. It's the first time I signed up for the race or did raw,
Yeah,
and you get familiar with that environment, and they talk about the race is nothing. Even Ram is nothing. Getting to the start line is the hardest part, and it is truly believable. Like that is the hardest part. I will get to the start line, and I've made a lot of sacrifices knowing when the race is and when I signed up for it
yeah,
and what it is to get me there. And I think for once in a lifetime sort of things, I don't know if my girlfriend wants me to do it a second time. Like if
I was gonna ask what the toll
yeah,
on your relationship
so
has been.
so far she's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's probably we both have pretty good patience, and we both can that also can be short at times, but
yeah,
we have a good understanding of where that's at, I think.
yeah,
And so putting a price on doing something for once in a lifetime is I I just want to get it past me. And
yeah,
if I break Strausser's record in some way, first of all, I went way too fast in the beginning to break his record,
yeah,
which means I only made it to Colorado.
yeah.
So if you want to interview me after, I'll tell you I didn't make it to to Atlantic City.
Well, Strasser's yeah, he's a freak of nature. That guy.
Yeah, I mean just legs. Oh, Mister, he was he so his they made something for him on his bike where he just has a Mister. He does it to himself.
Oh,
Yeah, like a
okay. Yeah,
spray bottle or
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. Keeps you cool.
yep. I would hope to just go half that speed.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, yeah, the expense is a big thing, the time commitment, the family, the luckily she's going to crew for you on this next weekend of long rides and stuff like that, and she's involved in it. When the person's not involved, and then that's even more time away from the family. If someone's got kids and stuff like that. I mean, this is a really tough sport on relationships. They talk about triathlons, but this is way more of a commitment. So
Yeah.
and then you're taking your vacation time to race your bike, which most of us do, but we do it on like a 3 or 4 day weekend or something like that. We take an extra day for vacation, but this is it. You're gonna blow
Yeah.
2 weeks vacation.
It's 4 weeks
Yeah,
total time. I had to do a lot of math.
yeah,
So it's like I'm having to build my vacation time before I even do the race to have enough time. So
yeah,
I've already taken from the pot and it's not there yet.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a challenge. And I'm lucky because also too, like my my girlfriend, we raced together. We met on bikes. She's
Oh,
she's in
this is
she's in
perfect.
we did the Haute route in France together.
Yeah.
So we've done this. We have a good relationship when it comes to biking. Um, yeah, hopefully I don't ruin that. In the so,
No, I don't think you will. I don't think you will. But like you said, she may not want for you to do this again.
yeah,
Or at
so
least take a year off. And
yeah,
I had a friend of mine, Graham Pollock, his 508 totem is Python. He raced the 508 every other year. It was just too much of a commitment to do it every year. And this was only a 500 miler, but he raced every other year. And that's how you kind of balance it out as far as financial commitments and family, because the training to get to that race it's not just the cost.
no.
Yeah, it's
I
the training and the time away
I
from
should say too, the 508 reminds me like I don't want to waste what's been given to me this year.
yeah,
So I'm also doing the 508
yeah,
and the 24-hour worlds this year.
yeah.
So I'm getting it all out of the way in 1 year.
All right, so let's talk about that. So timing wise, that's June for Race Across America.
Yeah.
When is the time trial? Because I know the 508 is September.
Yeah.
And
And
then
the
the
time
time
trial is
trial.
usually November, first
Okay.
week, right at the time change.
All right, so you'll have this big, huge training block, if you will, even though it's a race.
Yeah.
And then you'll kind of coast in with July, August, some maintenance miles.
I feel like 500 miles should be okay,
Yeah.
but it's also a great amount of climbing
Yeah, it's
in this.
37,000 feet
That's a lot.
and 500 miles.
Yeah. I mean, it's only 10,000 shy of riding 900 to Colorado.
Yeah, but that's because we're in San
Yeah.
Diego. And they missed Palomar Mountain. I mean, they're only doing the
Oh yeah, that's right.
east grade side.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're doing east grade. They're not doing south grade. So they're going up east grade, and depending on what time of night, day or night that some of these racers, they're going to be descending south grade at night.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. It's
It's
probably not ideal for
it's
someone
not
not
ideal.
experienced with the road.
Because people that come from other parts of the country have never done anything like south grade
Yeah,
Palomar.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Okay, so I think we've covered quite a bit. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
This is a recovery day, week for you. How many hours was this week?
I don't
All
know
total.
I don't. I'd have to look. I don't even know anymore. I just go to the next day, see what it is. Tomorrow is an easy
I'd
day.
love to see you. Do you have Training Peaks?
Yeah,
I'd love to see your chronic fatigue.
yeah, I can show you. Yeah,
Your CTL must be like.
I can show you. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Honestly, I just look at the next day,
Yeah.
focus on that, try and get as close to what I'm supposed to do, and call it good.
Yeah. So luckily, we've got you here on a Sunday, on a recovery week. Next week is a big week. But yeah, so for you folks, I know this is a little bit different. I know that Race Across America is not on everyone's radar or even everyone's wish list. But I thought I would spend a little bit of time talking with Shawn about this, because this is extreme, and people need to appreciate the amount of commitment level that there is to get to the start line, and then to complete something like this. I believe. I mean, what's your race number? Do
I
you have
don't.
it yet?
Yeah, I know what it is. I don't remember. I'd have to
Okay.
look.
Yeah, I mean, there's not. I mean, they're still in the 3-digit numbers. They haven't gotten to 4 digits yet. And what I mean by that is, when you are assigned a race number as a solo racer, that's always your number. So every year or any time you come back, that's still your number. So yeah, there's not that many finishers of this race, even though it's been going on since what, 84, 85 time frame.
I think the statistic is every year more people climb Mount Everest
Yeah,
than so far the amount of people who have finished RAM.
yeah, yeah. Cumulative.
Yeah, cumulative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cumulative. So John Marino started this race, and John Marino also uses my Rev Energy product, and I've done a bike fit for him and done some bike builds for him. So if you're interested in hearing from the founder of Race Across America, please drop a comment down below if you're still tuned in. And if you are, thank you so much. I'd like to get John Marino in this seat too, and hear his vision of what he thought about way back in 1980 something.
I
To
would
now
like to
put
hear that too.
yeah, to now put you through this ringer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you've got some comments or questions for Shawn, also if you'd like to pick up a coaching, a really, really good, strong, experienced coach, Marco Ballo, I'll have his contact information down below. I'll also have Shawn's bike profile link down below. In the meantime, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you up the road.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shawn.